Greening, last name Greening. I'm the Assistant Chief of Patrol Operations Bureau, Seattle Police Department. So my update for the police department is we have concluded our on-scene investigation with our crime scene investigation folks. They'll be working from here on out with the Department of Labor and Industries to analyze that information they collected yesterday. Our role now is to support any traffic reroutes that SDOT comes up with in the next few days. And also we will be here to secure the scene to allow SDOT and SDCI to do their analysis on how to move forward. And with that, I'll turn it over to Nathan.
Hi, I'm Nathan Torgelson, Torgelson. I'm the director of the Seattle Department of Construction and Inspections. We had one of our senior building inspectors on site yesterday. He yellow tagged the building, which means there's limited entry is allowed. We will continue to assess what happens at the building. The contractor is doing some work right now, which you can see. We will work closely with them and determine when we can lift that yellow tag.
Hi, my name's Tim Church, Timchurch. I'm with the Department of Labor and Industries. We've had 2 investigators on the scene since late yesterday afternoon. They were here till almost midnight last night and have been on the scene all day today. They've been gathering information, asking questions, talking to witnesses, and looking at the pieces of the crane that broke. Although I will say, while we've been here almost 2 days, we're really at the beginning of an investigation that will likely take months. We take situations like this incredibly seriously. No one should ever have to go to work and not come home from their job. So we're looking closely at this. It will take months, but our goal is to figure out what happened so things like this don't happen again. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Sam Zimbabwe, Director of the Seattle Department of Transportation. My job is to talk about a little bit where we go from here. As you can see, Mercer remains closed in both directions, both eastbound and westbound from Fairview. That will remain closed as long as the scene needs to be secured from a structural stability perspective. So there's still work to remove pieces of the crane and secure the facade. Once that is complete, there is some damage underneath in the roadway that needs to be repaired before we can reopen to traffic. We anticipate that will take at least through the morning commute tomorrow, possibly throughout tomorrow, and we don't know at this point how long that will take to reopen this. We are working to reopen it as soon as it is safe to do so. Everybody who's coming to this part of town, we know this is a very busy corridor each and every day. Everybody who's coming here, whether you're walking, taking transit, biking, driving a car, you should plan ahead and plan that your trip will take longer than usual. Our plan is to keep the southbound I-5 main line off-ramp closed until Mercer going westbound is reopened. That we will leave open, working with the state, leave open the express lanes off-ramp southbound and the northbound off-ramp. We hope to reopen Valley Street this evening or tomorrow morning in time for the morning commute to enable a little bit more traffic flow to come through this area. But again, if as you're coming here, please plan extra time. If you don't need to be in this area, if you can choose an alternative, if you can work from home, just like we got used to during the viaduct closure. People did a great job, a tremendous job of finding alternatives to how to get to where they need to go. If you don't need to come here, please don't come to this part of town. I think with that, we're happy to take a few questions.
Why weren't these streets closed while the crane was being assisted?
So we work when there's a crane assembly or disassembly. We work with the contractor to understand the footprint of where that work needs to take place. The work was taking place from Valley and was closed there. We're just at the beginning as as Tim said, of the investigation of exactly what happened here.
Is there any sort of state or city mandate, though, with closing roads around construction areas that have crane disassembly?
No.
Did you ask that the work be done on a weekend when there was testimony?
So typically what happens is when the permits, SDOT issues permits for the activities within the public right-of-way, and we work around the contractor's plan to make sure that those have the least impact on people moving through once we know what their footprint is of where they need to be working.
So you're saying Valley was closed right now?
Part of Valley was closed. I believe Terry was closed as well, and part of Boren was closed as well. And that was the footprint to load in and load out and do the work that the contractor had underway.
And the disassembly started yesterday morning
I believe that's the case.
with the idea that it was a lesser impact on drivers.
Typically, our weekend would be, we would seek to have this done in most situations. We would have it done on the weekend or overnight.
Are you going to reevaluate any of your procedures in light of all this?
I think we're just at the beginning of our understanding of exactly what happened, and working with Labor and Industries as they go through the investigation process, we'll be able to understand more about what happened here.
Do you know the extent of the damage to the road yet down below?
The damage is not significant. It won't take us all that long to make it safe and passable. There will be some more repairs that are needed. There's some concrete panels that will need to be replaced. One tree came down. It's not substantial.
Is weather taken into consideration when you do permitting at all for
No. The permit, I mean, we work with, we depend on the contractor on when they need to schedule work, and we work with them on how that work gets scheduled.
And Tim, can you talk about the factors you're looking at this point? I mean, are you looking at weather? Are you looking at, closing the streets? I mean, tell us what some of the factors analyze that.
What I can tell you is our crane investigators between them have almost 60 years of working in and around cranes. Before they joined L&I, they had private careers in the crane business, so they know this work well. It's really too early to speculate what they'll be looking at, because frankly they're looking at everything. They've been out here looking at the pieces of the crane, they've been taking photographs and measuring and talking with anybody that they can talk to. We're also very actively discussing what happened with the 4 contractors that we're aware of right now. And so it truly is the beginning of what will likely be a 6-month investigation for Labor and Industries.
Were any SPD officers assigned to be down here while the disassembly was happening to keep people away?
Not that I know of.
So Nathan, to be perfectly clear here, I think the questions are all about the permitting process, what the city does, what the city allows, with assembly, disassembly. There's nothing in the permitting either for this building or any other building that you have to close off certain roads at any given time.
That's really the responsibility of SDOT to make that call.
But
Every
permitting
construction
process,
site,
too.
every construction site is different. So we have to look at traffic patterns, how much right of way there is to work with. So we work closely with SDOT on how the street closures work.
Is it SDOT's call or the contractor about which road should be closed?
I would say it's a joint process where we need to understand what the process and procedure is for erecting or disassembling a crane and doing whatever work needs to be done. This is true for any work in the public space. We need to understand what goes into that and what perimeter is necessary for that work to be done, and then we work to mitigate and minimize the impacts on the surrounding traveling public.
So SDOT reviews what will be closed, and you decide that's sufficient. Do you sign off on that? Is that what you're saying?
We understand the perimeter that the contractor needs to do the work that they need to do, and then we work with them on exactly when and what traffic control plans need to be put in place to secure that perimeter.
And it'd be their call with the weather if they wanted to reschedule.
That's correct.
Do you know if there were any other cranes that were coming down yesterday, this summer?
I don't know that.
Can you give any information about the crane itself, like how tall it was, when it was inspected last, when it was certified by LNI, that sort of thing?
I don't have any of that today. I'm sure those are questions our investigators are asking. Some of that may be available, but I don't have it. I can tell you that when it comes to cranes, they are certified by third-party certifiers. So these are private companies that are accredited by the state, but do the certification themselves, and then they provide the information to LNI, and we issue a decal basically that says it's been certified. I don't have any information on when this happened, although I can tell you that tower cranes have to be certified every time they're set up. Tower cranes and mobile cranes have to be certified at least once a year, but if a tower crane moves from one site to the other, it's got to be certified again, because they're basically built in place and then taken down and moved to another site and built in place there.
And the third-party certifiers are hired by who?
I believe by the general contractor who's overseeing the site.
What about the memorial service that we saw over here?
I'll take that. We facilitated some family and friends of some of the folks that were lost yesterday to have a moment to honor them. And of course, our hearts go out to the families of the folks that were lost yesterday. And we were just trying to facilitate a moment for them to reflect on their fallen friend and family member.
So these were coworkers, these were friends?
We don't know all the relationships there. There were a lot of people, but they reached out to us and we tried to facilitate that.
It's a Marine flag, yeah?
Yes, that's correct.
Were the workers Marines?
I think they were friends. I can't speak to their service. I can only assume maybe they were in the service with some of these folks that showed up here. And just from the implication of the flag, I would assume maybe they were in the Marine Corps. So.
Can I just say something related to your question about the service? Thursday was Worker Memorial Day in Washington State. We remembered workers who died on the job in 2018. It's a solemn ceremony. There were 91 workers who either died on the job or died in connection with their job in 2018. So it incredibly saddens us to 3 days after Worker Memorial Day to have 2 other workers and of course members of the public added to this year's list. Our goal is to never have that happen, and unfortunately it happens too often.
Sam, do you have kind of a timeline? You know, obviously people are trying to plan for tomorrow, but in terms of the hours going forward here, when some concrete decisions might be made about what particular streets might be open, knowing that a lot of people won't get that information until they get up tomorrow morning?
Yep. So right now, everyone should plan for Mercer, both eastbound and westbound here, to be closed. We do expect to have Valley open by the time of the morning commute tomorrow. And so there will be limited opportunities to get around this site. But again, if you can avoid coming to the Mercer corridor, which I know a lot of folks can't do, please do avoid it. We are working to try to facilitate bus movements as much as possible. Both Fairview and coming off of the express lanes is an important bus corridor for us as well. So we will be communicating that as soon as we know more. Right now, our expectation is that this will stay closed through at least the morning commute tomorrow.
Time for one more question.
What we got tonight, is that coming down? Is the last piece coming down? What's the plan for this evening? I see the crane in place. What can we expect?
Sure. I'm not sure that we know, we can comment on that fully. Our understanding is that they're working right now with this. They've been relocating this crane to Mercer here to be able to access the pieces that are still on the roof and stabilize the facade to make sure that that's stabilized before we can reopen the street to traffic.
Expecting that tonight. Nathan, are you overseeing it?
We have a structural engineer from SDCI on site right now who will be talking to the contractor about the plan of action.
Expecting that to happen, the last piece to come down tonight?
I'm not sure.
Mr. Zimbabwe, do you have some, I was told to ask by my desk, do you have any other footage from
we're out here that you guys have access to that you're going to deliver or make available to the media?
Yeah. So part of the investigation yesterday entailed contacting different witnesses. We had eyewitnesses, and then there were some people that captured some things on their devices, and also the detectives, of course, do a canvass to see if they can find any video from the neighboring businesses. But of course, we won't release that until the detectives and L and I think it's the appropriate time.
Is there any information on the fourth victim? I believe we don't have any details on that. Does anyone?
I mean, it was transported or here?
Yeah, I believe we know there are 2 iron workers and a freshman student. There's a 4th person who passed.
Well, of course, the police department, we don't release that information. That'll be the medical examiner's office. So, of course, there's some protocols there about notification with family members and so forth. So,
do you know when that was expected?
I do not.
All right, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.